You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Love Talk Live. Today we have a jam-packed, amazing show for you. And I have some amazing guests. I have one in person with me, Jessica Baker.
Hi.
And we have a guest on the phone who is Eran Eyal. Are you there?
Hi, it's wonderful to be here with you today. Absolutely.
Eran is in New York, and it doesn't sound like he's from New York because he's from London, right?
No, I'm from South Africa, close, so a Commonwealth country. Born in Israel, grew up in South Africa, and moved to the United States about 6 years ago.
Well, whatever it is, I love your accent. And to me, it sounds British.
You're too kind. You're too kind. I do get that a lot, though. I do get that a lot.
Yeah, I know somebody he's from Australia, but once again, he sounds more British than Australian. Who knows?
Well, I don't know if anybody's ever told you, you have a beautiful accent as well.
I do? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I never heard that the Chicago accent was like a good one. I will take it. Thank you. So I'm gonna. So Jessica and Eran, they do a lot of things, but they also run a website called Aligned Signs, and it's to basically help people get matched and date and find their happily ever after, right?
Correct.
So before we get into all the details about what they do and how everybody out there can learn from it and join it, etc., I'm going to read to you guys about a little bit about Jessica and Eran. So Jessica Baker is a certified matchmaker through the Matchmaking Institute. And when she told me this, I didn't even know that there was such a thing. So pretty cool. She is the published author of Jumpstart Your Love Life, Tips, Tricks, and Wisdom from Professional Matchmakers. She has been on The Millionaire Matchmaker with Patty Stanger, Cosmopolitan, a speaker alongside eHarmony, and Google at iDate, the largest dating conference in the USA. I think I need to be a part of this largest dating conference. I didn't even know about it.
It's fun.
Jessica is a serial entrepreneur, always engaged in the latest ways to improve upon what is currently in the market. She is currently involved with Aligned Signs, Shelby Center Nonprofit, Growth Circle, City Moms, and Date My Values. Would love to learn about that also.
I keep busy.
It sounds like that. Jessica fuels her business ventures with expertise gained from 9 years of experience in finance, business analysis, client management, and research. Previously solely focused on management consulting and business intelligence projects, she is driven to unleash the power of technology to help individuals connect with the insight and the people who will help them thrive. Amazing.
That's me.
Love it. Love it. And so now we're going to read about Eran. Eran Eyal is an investor, advisor, and award-winning entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in the crowdsourcing, e-commerce, and retail markets. Currently, Eyal is the founder and CEO of Shoppin', where he looks to revolutionize the retail industry and customer shopping experience by decentralizing the purchase data of the retail industry and putting individuals in control of their own data. Eran Eyal and his endeavors have earned a number of achievements, including the United Nations World Summit Award for Innovation. Congratulations. Shoppin' was also awarded Retail Moonshot of the Year by the lead best ICO at the North American Bitcoin Conference and Coin Agenda. So now that we've gotten that aside, you guys understand more of what these people are, who they are, what they do. I just wanted to kind of start the show off to ask you guys I love hearing people's stories. How did you come about starting Aligned Signs?
Okay. Yeah.
And what is it? Maybe more in your words. What is Aligned Signs?
Well, Eran, why don't you take over what is Aligned Signs, and then I'll take over how it came to be.
Perfect.
Okay.
That sounds fantastic. And once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share this with your community.
Well, thank you for coming on the
Aligned
show.
Signs, that's a pleasure. Thank you. So Aligned Signs is an algorithm and dating app that connects people through industry-recognized psychometric assessments and astrology. So we use the science of connection to empower people to create meaningful relationships. where many other applications focus on how attractive you are and how well you market yourself, for example, Tinder and Bumble and other incredible prestigious companies in the space, we decided to get down into the science of how people will best connect to have long, sustainable, rewarding relationships. And we have a patented, protected approach on actually connecting people using psychometric assessment and astrology, which are two exciting areas, and Jessica will go into a little bit more detail around that. So, for example, you might know are you familiar with the Myers-Briggs assessment?
Yes.
So,
but maybe some of our viewers aren't.
That's fair.
Yeah, so maybe some of the viewers aren't.
What's your Myers-Briggs?
My actual one? I haven't done it in so long.
Yeah.
But I think that since some of our viewers might not be familiar, maybe can you take a moment to kind of go over what that is?
Sure. Jessica, why don't you quickly explain what the Myers-Briggs is before I continue?
For sure. Myers-Briggs was initially, the ideas were formed from Carl Jung. Which led to Myers and Isabella Briggs, who actually created the test, the paper version of the test. But it's not really a test, it's an assessment of preferences that lays out 16 different types of personalities. And it became really popular during World War II to help people identify with their best career paths. And now over 3.5 million assessments are given each year. And it just helps us better connect with ourselves and the world around us. It helps us understand how we take in information, how we see the world, how others might view us. And it's a 90-question assessment, and it gives us a four type result. So it's usually extroversion or introversion, intuitive or sensing, thinking or thinking or feeling, and perceiving or judging. I can go more into that, but that's essentially the basic of what it is. It's the leading, most widely used personality indicator assessment in the world.
Okay, here's my question already.
In fact, just one moment before we get into the question. Just by the way, this is such a prevalent exam that if you went to go join Bridgewater, a well-known financial firm, one of the tests that you do in their extensive tests of candidates is the Myers-Briggs. This is a real way that people connect, that people self-assess, self-improve one another, and find how they fit in amongst other people best, and how that they can be better at it.
Right, and actually,
so it's a real scientific methodology.
Yeah, actually, I was going to add to that, Eran. 70% of Fortune 500 companies apply this in their hiring process and interaction for teams and moral building and all sorts of things.
That's wonderful. So it's not random. It has substance.
Absolutely
to it.
There's a lot of substance to it.
So two things that are coming up, and I know we have so much material to get to, but one thing is I just wanted to talk about the Enneagram and what you thought of it, and if you know of how it compares. And I mean, it is very different, but also with dating, is your goal to match two people that have the same person, that get the same thing? They're both extroverts.
No.
Right, because that would not work. So can you explain that? Because that's what's coming to me. I'm wondering, so you get these, you take like Bob and Judy, and one has the feeling one and one has the extrovert thing. I'm just making this up. So how do you, what are the best matches, I'd say?
So just on that topic, we believe that a person has multiple facets to their personality. So you can't really put one person in a box and just call them, a father, a brother, an employee, or whatever. There's multiple parts to your personality.
Yes.
So what we apply to align signs and what we utilize are these tools that help us understand a little bit more about those facets. And these are just 3 levels to that, that person that makes you who you are. So that's why we like to combine all three so that we can have a better understanding of you and have the most complementary people that you would pair with connected.
And I love that you guys are doing this, because so many times I see clients in my office and they've spent way too much time with the wrong person. And, if they only would have had a tool like this, or just even just their intuition, just looking inside more to realize that I feel like people are either right for each other or they're not, and people just make themselves so crazy trying to make it work, when it's so wonderful that you guys are doing this just kind of right from the beginning. You're not guaranteeing anything,
right,
but you're setting people up to have the most possible amount of success.
Yes, I mean, I think it also goes to it also goes to the fact that, like I was initially saying, there's multiple facets to personality. Everybody is compatible, but on different levels, right?
Yeah.
So even if you are with somebody that you're that you might not line up perfectly with, it just means that you're going to have to work a little bit harder to get to that level of intimacy and connection than you would otherwise have to do with maybe a different personality type. So I just want to preface that.
I think one of the key aspects that we really address is that people get disillusioned using current dating apps.
Right.
You see a lot of, very often, what we would consider to be via a social norm of some sort, very attractive people, or people who just market themselves really well. But those people are not good or really compatible for you. Our app and our approach asks a critical question. What if we can find a scientific method, not only the scientific method, but also a mystical method through astrology? So you can choose either the Myers-Briggs or Chinese astrology or Western astrology, or a combination of all of them, to pre-align you before you connect with that person or see that person and say, swipe right, and know that that person has a much higher likelihood to be receptive to the person that you are, and vice versa. Wouldn't that give us a better chance to lead to more successful relationships, and thus, as a result, be happier within ourselves? That's really what we're here to address. And with that, we have another exciting patent for a programmatic coach to actually coach you through the ice-breaking phase and coach you through the part of where you're messaging one another, to help you connect with that person by drawing on these rich bodies of knowledge, such as the Myers-Briggs, as well as astrology, to best connect you. And that's really what Alliance Science is at the heart of it.
Right.
I have a question. Do you feel like, I told you I was going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, so there's Bob and Judy, they're going on a first date. Do you feel like they know that they're aligned, and do you feel like they feel almost like a little bit of, like, more of a pressure because they're like, oh, we should work out, we're a match? Like, how do you think that plays into everything?
Actually, I think it's the opposite, because you have a natural intrinsic connection already, and it's based off of your authentic self, like who you really are, rather than a marketed version of yourself, which I think in today's current dating app industry, it's created a kind of almost like a self-worth dysmorphia in a way, where people think of social norms and think of what is typically considered attractive, and then those people are put at the front, and it's really the wrong way, in my opinion, of going about finding that connection, that long-lasting person. And as a result, it's led to all sorts of things like loneliness, and loneliness, feeds a series of bad things. Like, actually, I didn't know if you knew that it's equivalent to alcoholism in severity. It can lead to it can be considered equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, which is insane, and a lot of other negative things.
Wait, I already smoked 15 cigarettes today.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'm really concerned for you.
I do not smoke. I never will.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically just saying that we want to get back to a level of connection that is based off of who you really are, not some marketed version of yourself. So you're not showing up to a date thinking, I have to be this other version of myself, or like my best representative. Instead, you can show up and actually be you, and the other person will genuinely appreciate you.
So they are more relaxed.
Yes.
Whether it's going to work out or not, they're just more relaxed from the beginning.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, and on Aligned Signs, we obviously initially connect through these intrinsic tools. And then obviously there's personal preferences, and then, which leads to, physical attraction and all that kind of stuff. So we take into everything in account, but our goal is to have this meaningful connection first before anything else, the intrinsic part.
So I have a question about something that you said a little bit earlier on that was just very interesting to me. So you were saying that, well, from what you said, my question is, do you guys think that you can take any two people, because you said anybody can connect, but it just takes longer or more work to connect? Because I feel like certain people are either going to connect or they're not. Like they're supposed to connect or they're not, like at a spiritual, energetic, chemical level.
Right.
So are you saying that you feel like you can take any two people and they could connect, but it just wouldn't be?
I think that I think that if I can just interject there for a moment, I think there's two really interesting things I want to point out. First of all, Jessica, what was that famous quote about Carl Jung? Who was really the progenitor of this methodology.
Yeah, Carl Jung was also passionate about astrology, and he made a note that his days were spent on psychology and his evenings were spent on astrology. It's basically in the correspondence between him and Sigmund Freud, where he shares his thoughts about the correlation of astrology to the core truth of psychology. So, I mean, it really it goes, and then astrology, if you think about it, goes way back to the creation of our calendar, and it just has a lot of foundation.
So to answer your question more directly with a little bit of that background, the first thing is that we focus on matching the correct people who match together first, either via Myers-Briggs or via astrology or via a combination of the two, depending on what their choices are. Now, obviously, when you achieve a certain inflection point in the volume of users and you have massive growth rates, you're not really not everyone is going to see everyone. So the most important thing is that with such an enormous volume of people, instead of just people becoming commodities where you swipe left, swipe right, you're seeing people that you're totally aligned to. And generally that should hopefully be represented in their bio and in the way they take their photos and everything else, because you are a sum ultimately of your of these actions that you perform and this bio that you create. Ideally. So what we assume is that the people who are seeing each other are aligned. And then from there you choose, well, I'm attracted to that person physically or not attracted to that person physically. But there's no sense in showing you people that you're not aligned to. And once a large volume of users has been achieved, you're not going to see everyone. You're going to see the people you need to see. And hopefully, because you are aligned, you will get to find that special someone, that match that's perfect for you. Now, it could very well be that it might be that you are a person who's actually just looking for short-term relationships. In that case, you'll probably even see people who are most aligned for you to see short-term relationships, to have short-term relationships with. But if your goals are short-term, then you'll see those people, but the people with more long-term goals will see the people with more long-term goals as well. And thus, we should hope that people will enter into more rich and fulfilling, meaningful relationships quicker, and there will be less churn in the system.
Okay, so we are all on the same page that relationships that when you connect the most is when you are aligned.
Right.
And that, I mean, that's why you call your business Aligned Signs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I misunderstood before. I thought you were saying that, like, you can take any two people and, like, they could be connected. It would just take more work.
Well, I was referring to, like, people that might already be married or in relationships. It's with, like, the Myers-Briggs
like making
or
it
astrology.
work.
It's
even
about
when it's not supposed to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about understanding one another, having more self-awareness, and then being able to, through that, build authenticity and then intimacy in your relationship, and have more meaningful, having more meaningful connection and a happier life.
Right.
So.
If they're supposed to stay together.
Yes, exactly.
But then sometimes you could do all of that and then they're still not just right for each other.
Yep, that's true. You just have to decide whether or not
But
it's worth your
they'll have
investment.
the most important thing is they'll have a much, much better chance at it.
Right.
When you go through these personality tests and everything.
Yeah, because you have a level of understanding.
Yes, understanding.
And acceptance. And I feel like with self-awareness, that's kind of what was the basis of aligned signs, was self-awareness and then understanding and acceptance of not only myself but others. And then just really being able to connect through that.
And so I'm glad you're bringing
and
up.
That's why we say it's a place where the science of connection meets the art of attraction.
Yes, exactly.
Say it again. Say it again.
It's a place where the science of connection meets the art of attraction.
Love it. Very powerful. So I'm glad that you guys just brought up self-awareness, because in preparing for what we were going to be talking about, we were talking about self-awareness and how it's so important to be self-aware in order to be authentic, and then being present. And I know you guys love talking about that.
Yes.
So I know, Eran, you were going off, and it was just flowing out of you in our correspondence.
We love talking about this topic.
It's my favorite topic also, because this is where it all begins.
Yes.
And people aren't aware that you need to be self-aware.
Right. If you're not going to invest in yourself, then why should anybody else?
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not loving yourself, and how are you even going to bring that person in if you're not being you?
Right.
Basically.
Right. Then you're attracting the wrong person.
Yes, and it happens all day, every day.
All day, every day.
So now, being present. So why, for our listeners, our viewers, why is being present so important? I know why I think it is.
I think.
Go ahead, Eran.
So I think I think after a lot of retrospect in meditation, contemplation, my view on being present is that in the present, you have a moment and at any given point in time to be connected with yourself. When you look to your past, you get filled with all kinds of delusions, such as either regret, you miss something, you miss being a certain way, you miss being with a certain person, you're reminiscent of things, and you look back all the time. And when you're looking constantly to the future, you're living in anxiety, because there's this unfulfilled expectation of reality and a person who you're going to be in that reality and in that circumstance and situation. How will you ever be yourself in that kind of a dilemma? So by being absolutely present, you're exactly who you are right now. You have a moment, a chance to really, really connect with yourself right now as you are, who you are, not as you were, not as other people perceive you, not as you perceive yourself in the future, without or the anxiety, without any of the regret involved. You have the ability to be absolutely authentically you. And that's the person who that special someone wants to connect with. So the first person you need to connect with, that special someone
it's
you
like
need to connect with,
to
is you first. So go on a date with yourself before you go on a date with anyone else.
Have you
I think that's a recipe for success.
Have you looked into motivational speaking?
Right.
Because you speak very eloquently, and I'm just like, this is poetry. This is just, it's so beautiful and it's so true. Mm-hmm. And just what's coming to me is that this is the only thing that is real and is authentic is right now.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
The future
Very
is
much
just
so.
made up.
Everything
it's a
else
fantasy.
is a construction.
Yeah.
Under construction. I like that.
Only thing that's real is right now.
Yes. Yes. So be your best self, but
be in the moment.
Be your real self. Right?
Yeah, and also just when people are on dates, I always encourage my clients to, when they're on a date, don't be thinking about what you're going to be doing tomorrow or later on that night. Just really be there, because first of all, it's very obvious when someone is not paying attention, and then that's not attractive. So, if you're going to commit to I always say keep the first date as short as possible.
Really? Okay.
Ooh, we're going to have a discussion about this. Yes. So funny. Well, we can get into that if you guys want to.
I don't mind.
But no, this is if you're not having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, if you're having an amazing time, spend
like,
20
I'm sorry,
hours.
the time's up. We've got to go.
Oh, no. No, if you're happy on the date, let
Okay.
it go on forever.
Okay. Yeah.
Ever. No, I'm saying that
Absolutely.
don't waste your time
Oh,
if you
for
feel
sure.
like you're not happy on that date.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is when you commit to going on a date, no matter what it is, just set everything aside.
Absolutely.
For even if it's going to be 20 minutes or 20 hours,
Right.
you know?
I was actually speaking with somebody last night, and I actually had a phone call with my grandmother, and we were talking about our learnings from, you know, their day and age. And, you know, my grandmother's advice was that it has to be easy. She's had, she's had a very long, successful relationship, and the person I was speaking to last night, his parents were married over 50 years. And the takeaways were that the person that you're with, it just has to be, you know, it just has to be easy, just to be in their company.
Mm-hmm.
And then another takeaway was that they always maintained a level of respect for one another, and never, you know, they were always supportive of one another. They were always encouraging. They never talked about that person to another person in a negative fashion, and always had that respect for their partner. And then they also invested in the relationship, ideally every week if possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a really good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love hearing from couples that have been married for so long. It's the wisdom.
Yeah.
And the last thing you said, just the taking time for you and that other person to connect,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whether it's kids or it's jobs or whatever, and to constantly remind yourselves of why you chose to be together.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you just think about, you know, where you put your time. Time is the most valuable commodity, in my opinion, because you can't duplicate it, you can't get it back. You know, there's nothing that there's no way to get extra of it. And if you put that time into something, in my opinion, that's considered an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So where you invest your time, energy, and effort, that's what will flourish. So if you're not investing in your relationship, then you get what you give, kind of thing. So
Yes, yeah. It's like the garden thing.
Yes.
You don't invest in the moment right now, there won't be any good moments to come.
Sure.
Yes.
At
Exactly.
least not from the one that you're trying. If this moment is the seed that you want to sprout, and you don't spend the time nurturing that moment absolutely with focus and with intent and ease and comfort, right? Not trying to drain the moment out of everything it has, but just being present there for it in a natural way. How can you possibly expect that moment to germinate into anything good? To enjoy that moment to create many, many, many other wonderful moments, the first thing you do is you focus on this moment, you nurture it, and then you focus on nurturing the moments that come from there, because what you're doing is you're actually getting into practice as well. Just
And
that very first moment, practicing that teaches you how to practice again and again and again and get better at nurturing the moments that flourish from it.
And these concepts are so simple, but they're things that we don't even think about until your eyes are open, until you awaken
Right.
to the importance. Like once people know the benefits and why you need to be present, then they can actually make these life changes and have the best possibility for their best relationship.
Right.
But one thing that you just said, which I love talking about this also, is that you said the word strain. I like to say, you know, if you feel like if there are doubts and you're trying to make something work and it's just not, you know, then maybe it's time to move on, because you also don't even
And that's
have.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's absolutely okay. That's wonderful. If you don't, it's like everything that you're saying, if it's not right, you're not going to even want to put all the work into it to be present, you know, because maybe you're supposed to be present with somebody else and to flourish with somebody else.
It takes two, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And it has, you know, with any relationship dynamic, it's also about, you know, timing, you know, even if one person's giving a good effort, and the other person might be on a different path at times, or one moves slower or faster. There's a lot of things that.
And to give it the time.
Yes.
To see, okay, this person's been like this one's been like this. Let's see if it shifts. Let's see what happens. I never recommend the first moment you have the thought of like, I think I'm done, to be done. Give it the time.
Right. Yeah, one.
There's a fine line between persistence and insistence.
Yes.
Always be persistent, never be insistent. Yeah. And in this method, always know the difference between the two. And there's a delicate energetic shift between when you switch between persistence and insistence. Nobody likes it when you're insistent, but persistence is greatly admired and cherished.
Yes.
I like that. Once again, motivational speaker, Eran Eyal.
Right.
He'll be at your local conference center.
Yeah, and just to that note as well, I always try to encourage that, when you're in a loving relationship that you would like to continue. If you do start having doubts, don't create unnecessary anxiety in the relationship by saying, maybe we should end this, or maybe we should, get a divorce, or maybe, unless you're actually really ready to have that conversation.
I like that. Yeah, because it kind of it puts in the other person's mind this negativity.
Right. This anxiety, then you're thinking about it, and you're wondering, okay, do I need to fix things, or how do I fix things? I mean, and it's great to have a conversation about fixing things and putting more time and energy into it, but just, staying positive about, okay, let's work together through this, and
maybe just going to the person and just saying, I'm not feeling very peaceful or happy in this relationship. Right. Putting it out there.
Yes.
As a little seed.
Yes.
And then taking it from there.
Right. What can we do together?
Communication ultimately is key. I think that if people, first of all, understand what they need versus what they want, those are two very big things. You're very blessed in the moment that what you want and what you need is aligned. So when that happens, cherish that and seek more of it. But when you have that, and you can only do that, of course, when you're present, right, and totally connected with your intuitive self. So when you're in that kind of a situation and you're honest with yourself and you see what you need, that's what you really want to feed. If you're constantly thinking about what you want, you're living in the future again. Mm-hmm. And you're moving out of yourself. You're moving out of who you are and where you are and what the situation is. So having that, and then having the empathy to understand what the other person needs as well. I think that these are some of the very basic.
I think he disappeared.
Hello? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm here.
We lost like one sentence.
I was just saying that I think that empathy and knowing what you need versus what you want, as well as what your partner needs and what they want, are very good building blocks for any decent relationship. Whether that relationship is a professional relationship or whether it's a romantic one.
Right. And just having regular check-ins with one another that doesn't necessarily have to be based off of any kind of negative things. It could just be like, okay, once a week we'll check in with each other, see how you're feeling, see how I'm feeling, see what we can improve upon, and do together and flourish more. I think is a really great thing as well.
And I like that we're talking about feelings, because I know sometimes it's harder. This is a stereotype, but sometimes men, they have a harder time talking about their feelings. Okay. However, I've seen a lot of men that have no problem, and it's awesome. But this doesn't have to be like a serious conversation of tell me how you're feeling.
No.
Just it can be lighthearted, and I love that you're saying that. So it could just be sitting down. This is how I'm feeling this week. Everything's good in the relationship, or I'd like to work on this part.
Right.
I'm feeling
just to check in and see. Is there anything that you would like to change, or do more of, or, what are you happy with? What are you not happy with? Let's just, or is everything great? We just keep moving forward. And if it's yes, we're like, great. If it's no, well then, okay, well let's, lay out a plan of how we can fix that and improve it and work together and move forward.
And what we were just talking about with the needing versus wanting, I love that in that really good communication conversation, using the language, this is what I need. You know, I'm not getting this. I need this, not this is what I want.
Right. And also making it about you and not the other person.
Yes, I'm feeling this,
Yes.
using I statements.
Yes, not like you make me feel horrible. That's
Right.
bad.
Because then
So
they're
I'm
on
feeling
the defensive.
Yes, exactly. Don't do that.
Yeah, why not just take responsibility for your own state?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Say the words, I'm
Own.
feeling horrible. Oh, why? Okay, that's terrible. Why are you feeling horrible? Well, that's a different question from you make me feel horrible
Yes.
or you make me feel that. Not as to mention, when those words come out your mouth, you're giving your power away.
Yes.
And I don't think that any good relationship is about giving power away. I think relationships are about nurturing the power that you have and loving the person for the type of power that they bring into their relationship, for the uniqueness of that power.
And like the
That's
wording,
that's what a relationship is about, the symbiosis.
the wording could actually, even if somebody did something that made you not happy, you don't. A way to say it is, you when you did this, I felt not like you. It's different than you made me feel.
Absolutely.
You didn't like. You did this action. Okay, that's separate. I'm just letting you know how I feel
Right.
from a result of that, but it had nothing to do with you.
Right. And I
Which
think
sounds confusing,
another
but-
thing
If
to,
I can add to that,
Yes.
just for a moment, I would even take that a step further because I think you're exactly on the right path there. I would not start with the words, when you did that. I would say, I was feeling that way. Why? Because I'm taking responsibility for my feelings. I'm talking about me. I'm saying, I was feeling this way when this happened, not
And-
when
oh,
you did
not
this
even
and
use the
when
word
you did
you.
that. Because
when
once
this
again, you fall into the victim scenario.
Such little details.
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And then to also take into account that when you're the other person and you're on the receiving end of this conversation, to just know that there is no, you can't justify a person's feelings.
Right.
How they feel is how they feel, and that's it. And for them to be vulnerable with you is a strength. And to just be appreciative that they shared that with you, so
Amen
that
to that.
yeah, so that they can try to together, is what I'm trying to say, to try to improve the situation so that feelings aren't hurt in the future. And so it's important to acknowledge that there's no reason to fight about somebody's feelings or to be defensive about somebody's feelings. How you feel is how you feel.
Yes.
You know?
And that's empowering. You know, when we honor our feelings. So many times, all the time, my clients, they'll come in and they'll second guess their feelings. Maybe I shouldn't have felt this way. And I always say, please do yourself a favor. Always honor what you're feeling, because that also brings you closer to living your authentic life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I personally believe that our heart takes into account so many things, that we have like a subconscious, and we take into everything that our brain digests and our heart feels and our experiences and our thoughts and everything. It takes into consideration everything. And so our feelings are more encompassing, in my opinion, than just your thoughts, because it's one part of a huge equation. So when you disregard your feelings, you're taking, you're disregarding a lot of the pieces of the puzzle that you received without even realizing, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, and our feelings are our intuition.
Absolutely.
It's that gut. And I love that you're saying that also, because it's so true. It's so true. So that's why we really need to trust it even more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then just finding that person that makes you feel amazing, I mean,
that's-
aside from yourself, obviously, you want that compliment.
Yes. But I always say, just you'll know when you feel alive.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just alive.
Yes. Yeah, I think also another thing to that point, I hear people sometimes say, they, they look at their partner as a person that's supposed to make them happier or, bring them happiness, and then therefore they're happy. And I think that's a lot of weight to put on another person. You should already, and that kind of goes to our self-awareness aspect of things, you should already find yourself and be happy with who you are. And then two people coming together can only enhance that happiness, rather than leaning on somebody to bring you to a level that you're hoping to be at.
Right, because then it wouldn't be authentic.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I always say it's not 50-50 or like two halves coming together. It's two whole people coming together and producing light. 'Cause
Yes.
That's what I believe happens when
I
two
like
people
that.
come together.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So two happy people together, there's going to be more light in the world, more peace, more love. And the more couples there are like that, the more they will inspire other people to not settle and to really wait to find that right person.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You know,
and it's contagious.
A mentor of mine,
exactly.
he was giving me this piece of advice for something completely different, and I just can't help but now have a bit of an epiphany, and I'd like to share it with you. And he told me, Eran, when we were dealing with a particular character that we didn't, neither of us really knew how to deal with at the time, he said to me, Eran, you know, when people are living a lie, or when there's a lie out there is always an end. But when there is truth, there is never an end.
Oh, that's so good.
That's what authenticity is.
That's so
When
good.
you are authentic, completely authentic, people just want to be around you. People want to have a piece of that. They want to be, they want to share. Well, I wouldn't say want a piece of it, but they want to share in the life.
Gravitate towards.
And then they
Yes, yeah.
bring their own authenticity in because they're inspired by that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
when you're living a lie, when you're living something, this weird social construct that you believe, I need to be this, I need to be that, I have to have this, I have to have that, I have to have this about you, I want you to be this or that.
So true.
And you're not actually coming from an authentic place yourself and living in who that person authentically is. Generally, there's an end, right?
Right.
And
But
also,
when there's
It's a matter of
authenticity, there's
time.
never an end, and there's never an end to life.
when you are living that lie and not living your truth, you're also shutting yourself off to everything that is waiting to come into your life.
Yes.
Your relationship, your job, whatever it is,
Couldn't agree more.
it's kind of a way of having your heart being closed when you're not living your truth.
Right. Yes. We strongly discourage that.
Yes, yeah. We like open hearts.
Yes.
Love
lots
open
of
hearts.
open
Open those hearts.
Yes, exactly.
So
I've seen it in so many aspects of my personal life, and I can just tell you that authenticity just leads to great things.
and I agree. I've experienced it. It just opens.
Mm-hmm.
So we only have a few more minutes. Any kind of final things you feel like you didn't go over, and then just how people
Sure.
can contact you and how they can get on these apps?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's really exciting, just so you don't mind me
No, go ahead.
quickly, I think we're at an exciting, with regards to line signs, we're actually quite at an exciting time in the business. We've had almost 30,000 people join with very low retention rates. So we had a very early version of the app up, which we are now making more defunct and going to be revisiting in a big way. And one of the exciting things that we're going to do is that actually we're going to turn into our community and to people who are interested in this and actually crowdfund our first round of investment. So far, we've put in a significant amount of capital to get us to the stage and to get to understand the data, to understand who the ideal customer is, how they interact with one another and the application. And now we're ready to bring that application up to date, fall in line with the kind of cutting-edge design and user experiences they'll find on Bumble, Tinder, etc. And I think the most exciting part of all of that is we're actually going to open it up to anybody who wants to use that application to actually invest in the company from even as little as $10. And this means that not only will they be able to use the application for an extended period of time for free, potentially lifetime, they will have a piece of something they really believe in and have a say in it. And I think that that's really exciting to me as one of the next critical steps in this company's future.
Very cool.
Yes, we were trying to keep it on the hush-hush, but apparently the cat's out of the bag.
Now everyone knows. It's good. You're being authentic. This is
Yes,
good.
that's true.
Oh, my big mouth.
Thanks, Eran.
Well,
No,
you're
it's
hearing
great. I'm very
first,
excited
so
about
this
it. I'm
is
actually
kind of
very
an
excited.
exclusive, I guess.
Yes, yes. Yeah, exactly. So we're very excited about it. We have lots of amazing plans ahead, and so you'll be hearing from us again soon.
Yeah, and you guys can come back on the show when it's up and running a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean it's up,
Thank
it's
you.
in the stores, everything's great, but we need to. We're going through the process of revamping the whole thing, and so we can really implement the patents and the second patent of the
Patented.
artificial intelligence. Yes, the patented, exactly.
Best word in the world.
Of like the artificial intelligence dating coach and stuff. So I think it'll be great.
I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
So people
you.
can contact you at
AlignedSigns.com.
alignedsigns.com.
Yes.
And yeah, great. So anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you've been so generous with your time
Yes,
today
thank you.
and sharing the space with us and allowing us to talk a little bit about what we're so about. It's something that we're so close to and so passionate about. And this is something we just really want to bring in. We want to bring a lot of happiness into people's lives, especially in their relationships. And thank you for giving us the space to talk about that today.
And this is everything that I do for my job every day. So it was
love it.
so aligned. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And as
Thank
always,
you.
you can contact me at www.therelationshipexpert.com. Thanks so much and have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.